Hello everyone and welcome back to the Quake Pro League. Join with Fleet. As always, the human fact book is going to be giving me a helping hand there throughout the entire course of the evening. And we do have our third match underway between maxter and DaHanG. And now, this is one I've been looking forward to the most. maxter, didn't have the best of starts, losing to nosfer and Rafa off the get-go, but pretty standard because nosfer always seems to have maxter's number every single time and Rafa just being Rafa. And I kind of feel like with maxter anyway, it wasn't really feeling his form at the start of the stage, but has recuperated, has managed to, rectify a lot of his mistakes coming into this, and he seems to be really feeling it now coming in. And I really hope he does continue to feel it in terms of his recent form, because now he's got to play against DaHanG of all people.
DaHanG indeed, representing Team Liquid, the eternal number 2 of the Americas is what it feels like. The man so far is at a really strong stage. He lost to Zeneku 3-0, but other than that has wiped every other opponent he went up against. Now looking at their match history, the last time they played, DaHanG also took quick care of maxter in a 3-0 fashion. Once again, didn't drop a single map against a player from Argentina, but the maxter that we're seeing this stage is not the maxter that we saw last time, so this could very well end up being a completely different outcome.
It certainly could be indeed. I think it will be, but it depends on how DaHanG's feeling. Like, he's known for his combat skills and his adaptation in a lot of his matches, so the problem is, in terms of combat skills, Max is like one of the masters of it. He's not the kind of guy you want to get into a close range fight with, because he'll hands down absolutely just put you into oblivion. So it's going to be very, very tough indeed. But speaking of Devil, we're going to check the picks and bans actually to find out what we're going to be playing on in this crazy series, as it will be starting off with Exile, then we'll go over to Awoken, and to finish things off, we're going to play a little bit of Ruin. So just a few notes I made here, just checking to see exactly what is panning out. And maxter's actually, one of his better maps have been on Exile. I only know that the odd weakness maxter did have in the past was, some of the timing, some of his ammo management as well. But apart from that, he's been very, very good on this map, massively. And DaHanG going to Awoken, I'm very curious to see how he's going to change things up over there. And then we're going to go all the way to Ruins. And I feel like both of them, neither player really has a huge advantage in terms of these map picks here.
I'm inclined to agree with you there. One thing that immediately catches my eyes that Athena is being picked once more and again on Awoken. It really is just Blood Covenant at Awoken that we see her being played on. She sometimes makes an appearance on Deep Embrace as well, but usually it is on Awoken in the current map pool. So far we've seen her being played in 2 out of 3 games today, which is quite high because it's always fun if she makes an appearance even once. So DaHanG has to go up against a stack advantage there, and in the final map we reverse that, because then it is maxter who's running the light squishy champion that is Anarchy up against Eisen with the turret. Indeed, nothing really stands out to me. On Exile, I would slightly favor the Ranger, because both Ranger and Death Knight have got that burst damage potential, but because Exile is a pretty vertical map and there's a lot of these dangerous cliffs to maneuver around, Ranger's Orb also gives a lot of mobility in those senses. Now on Awoken, it really all comes down to how well maxter can counter Athena. She can be an absolute liability if you don't play her right, but if it works well, I mean, we just saw what Nosfa did against Effortless. And then the final map, indeed, Anarchy versus Eisen. maxter going for the speed can work very nicely on a larger map like Ruins, but we also know that playing a light on Ruins is very dangerous because of the positions and the openness of those small armors that are so crucial.
I'm not surprised that DaHanG banned Deep Embrace straight away. That's not really a map you want to play maxter on, because a lot of combat skills are required to try and put him down, but you really can't. He's just always in your face. It's pure light-hearted aggression and just a huge amount of damage along the way. But Corrupted Keep was banned by maxter. We didn't really see him play Corrupted Keep a huge amount, really. Another thing I'm a little bit surprised about, but he's actually banned Veil, and we've actually seen him take down Rafa once before on Veil. I know it was quite a long time ago, but I do feel like it's one of the maps he could excel at with enough practice, and I do feel like it can be one of his best maps in the map pool, but I suppose it does depend on how you're feeling on the day and in terms of the circumstances of what he wants to select in terms of going on to the final map. But both of them are quite keen on Ruins anyway. DaHanG probably banned Molten Force just due to the fact that He knows that if you play from behind, it can be very challenging, very, very tough, considering the circumstances of what you're going to put yourself in. And he probably made the assumption that maxter probably will play, the Anarchy or the Slash or like the Saw, like something with a bit of mobility and speed in order to keep away from his opponent. And you can see there as well, DaHanG just was not interested in that in the slightest, and rather play Ruins, where there's a little bit more, strategy behind it to try and stop your opponents from trying to keep away from you by any means, shape, or form. So very excited to see how this goes, because maxter, in terms of his recent form, especially for the last 4 weeks, he's been incredible, kind of been feeling himself really, and let's see if DaHanG can adapt and be able to handle the pressure from maxter.
It's always interesting to see just how the maps change if you compare matchup between players. Like, for example, on a previous set, right, Nasa versus Effortless, they played the exact same maps they played the previous times they went up against each other. Now this time around, it is basically completely different. The only recurring map is Awoken. The others were Veil of Nav and Deep Embrace. Deep Embrace and Veil both getting banned immediately this time around. So very curious that some players are just like, you know what, I can do better on these maps, and I'm willing to take the fight again. Or maybe they feel, if they won that, yeah, I can take him down again on those same maps. Whereas for others, it's really like, okay, that didn't really work out the way that I wanted to, so I want to start over, clean slate, don't want to play the same arenas once more. And that is more or less what is happening this time around. Very strategic picks, very different arenas from the last time. So that might favor maxter, since it clearly didn't work out the way he intended to last time.
I'm just thinking about what Max is going to do on Exile to start off with. Like, Death Knight can be very good to kind of contest a lot of his items, especially with what he wants to do in terms of his ability. But then again, I want to see what DaHanG can do with the Ranger as well. Can give himself a little bit of a helping hand for some of the item control as well. And you can see right at the very end with the Anarchy versus the Eisen, he's going to have the advantage in terms of contesting that heavy each and every time. It's all about that turret placement and what he wants to do with it. But with the speed of maxter, if DaHanG's on spawn, he needs to be extremely careful with how he approaches, that coin flip situation where he's got to select which way he wants to go. Maybe he spawns near the light to go towards the tribal or the LG, or if he spawns on the back heavy staircase. He's got to be very cautious with where he wants to go and what he wants to do, because we know how much pressure and how much, maxter wants to try and suffocate his opponent on the spawn, which is why he does have that Anarchy to give him a little bit of room to extend that lead if he so requires, you could say. But he won't be seeing Deep Embrace, so it's going to be a little bit shame for maxter there, because he's been excelling at that map massively every time we've seen him given the chance to play it. And I think people try and keep away from that map literally like it's the plague, which I don't blame him in the slightest, because it's pretty much a death sentence really for anyone who tries to play against him on that map. So we'll have to see. But predictions though, Flea, how do you feel this is going to go? Do you feel like maxter may actually be able to take down DaHanG this time around, or DaHanG is just going to be doing these usual shenanigans and be able to take this series?
Very difficult to tell. I think that maxter is in a lot better of a position to get a win this time around than he did last time. Definitely not expecting another 3-0, 2-1. Difficult to say who I favor. The brain says DaHanG, the heart says maxter, so it's always one of those situations. Now, looking at the predictions from chat, it seems that a majority does think that maxter is going to be the one to make it happen. So let's see how that pans out as we load out into the first map of this series. But Lethal, I want to hear what you think and your predictions as well.
Oh, don't start with me, Flea. I don't even have a clue at this point. I'm just trying to figure out exactly how this goes. I think this first game will be the true indicator, though. But I would love to see maxter take this series, because he definitely deserves it. He's been progressing so well in the Pro League over the last few months. But it all depends on how Max is feeling on the day. You know what it's like. When he's on his true form, it's very, very difficult to play against maxter here. And, ooh, I must say, that was a fantastic start from maxter. Exactly what he was after. He picks up the Mega, gets the Light, and now is able to recuperate just a tad bit. Still hasn't got all the weapons in his arsenal here, Flea. Still looking for the Rail and the Rockets. Speak of the Devil does pick up the Rail, and now we'll be going on up for the Rockets momentarily. Just looking to continue to restack through with both of these Lights, and now the Heavy and Mega will be coming up very soon.
First frag went to maxter, making good use of that damage that the Flame Strike brings. But DaHanG was very quick to recover, prevented any sort of escalation, and control is still split between these players. DaHanG does pick up Mega, maxter gets away with Heavy. but no consistent control either way. And are we getting a repeat? Not this time. DaHanG gets the frag for a moment there. I feared that we would see the exact same thing. DaHanG pushing in the room only to get lit up by the flames and drop a frag, but not this time. He got it. Although it is maxter who quickly establishes and regains the lead 2-1, but he gets pinned by the LG. That was nasty, and that was definitely not what the Argentinian player was going for. But he drops down and hard as well. Tied once again 2-2. This has been a very energetic match.
It really has been indeed. I don't think he expected DaHanG to push him with the LG in that position, but jumps in with the orb, and DaHanG comes in the lead. So still needs to try and restack, but that's going to be fine. He's going to pick up the light first, and then he's going to go straight up for the heavy, but just prioritizing the damage onto maxter first beforehand. But look at this, he's actually left the mega up. If he wins this bout, he's going to be able to get full control, which he does, and he still knows that that mega is still up, which is great stuff from DaHanG. Very well thought out here, and great indication to show why DaHanG is one of these incredible players in the Quake scene with great adaptation then, already now up by 5-2.
That was really clever, because DaHanG knows that he pushes in, maybe he gets the frag. If he does, he gets both items. Perfect. Even if he doesn't get it and he drops a kill, he knows that he's going to respawn over at Mega site and can still pick it up and be in fighting shape. So that was just a very calculated risk that he took, and it worked out tremendously in his favor. And now he's 3 kills up, and it is maxter who has to play on the defensive, and that is exactly what I talked about as we started this map and went over the picks and bans. Maxter might have more or slightly more burst damage potential, but he's lacking that mobility that the orb can give, and that is really what allowed DaHanG to get a cheeky steal and a good frag there as well.
That can definitely bring this back. DaHanG just trying to survive for dear life here. Look and see if he's going to come up from the rocket side, but looks like he will not be. He's going to realise he's directly above him at top mid. maxter finds him as well, just tickles him slightly there, Fleas. He does get away, and both items still not going to be coming up for a while. DaHanG, though, just trying to do what he can to stay alive. If maxter did fall off the edge there, that would have been massive at DaHanG, considering the massive stack maxter's got at the moment. Ooh, he tried to recover, but he didn't. That was such a shame. I don't think he even needed the orb in the end, but now he's got another engagement to deal with. maxter already making a beautiful comeback, Flea.
I was about to say, I think this is the longest I've ever seen an Exile game without anyone falling in the pit, and then it just happened. We almost hit the 4-minute, the halfway mark was in sight without Singular getting a frag, but it will be DaHanG falling down into the icy cold depths of this map, and now maxter is starting to mount a pretty convincing comeback. His opponent is starved for resources, won't even be able to get above that railable threshold, and maxter now is making this into a 1-frag game. I think that was also pretty calculated. maxter did not go up the bounce pad, probably because he didn't have Flame Strike yet. I'm willing to bet that he would have gone for that if he had the flames at the ready.
Very dangerous opponent, maxter, when he's got that huge stack to work with. And it's only at the halfway stage here, Fleece, so already been very entertaining already. I feel like we've already gone through the 3 maps, and is he going to be going off? Yes, he does. maxter tie things up. Second frag for Singular as well, and now we're at the second halfway mark to see if maxter can continue piling on this pressure, because he barely took any damage in that last game, which means we can continue to suffocate DaHanG wherever he would want to go there. Just managed to dodge that rocket nicely, as Max is just waiting for him to see if he's going to drop down on the heavy, but DaHanG does hear that Max is hanging about on that heavy area and isn't going to have any part of that at all. But look at the stack he needs to try and deal with here. maxter is just looking so good as the tables have turned heavily into his favor. Now keeping that height advantage, picking up the mega. Items are nicely segregated as well, which means that maxter can contest both his items as he sees fit.
maxter has a perfect rotation going on right now. There's basically an exact 15 seconds between the items, meaning that he has all the time in the world to pick up one and then go hunt for his opponent. He doesn't immediately have to chain them together, but he can pick up one of the items and then just casually, carefully go over anywhere on the map, look for his opponent, try to deal some damage, maybe get a frag like he just did, and still have plenty of time left to regain just control of that rotation that he's got working in his favor right now. And it looks like DaHanG probably unable to match the LG intensity right there as maxter is powering on. This is such a dominant display by the Argentinian player.
Yeah, 186 damage with that LG. maxter just continued to do absolute work, as already jumping all the way across the map. DaHanG can't fight this, he hasn't got the HP. He's looking to try and get one bit of chip damage with the rail. maxter just barely misses, but he does get it straight afterwards. DaHanG, the tail between his legs, was doing his absolute best to get away, and now is going to try and contest this heavy. It is up in the next 35 seconds. Good stuff there from maxter, being able to extend this lead. 3 minutes left. Oh, the damage from the LG as well here. They're just continuing to do so much work. The rail from between the bridge as well, finishing him off with the shotgun. And it's just no stopping him. He's just continuing to cause absolute havoc here, Flea.
That was such an incredibly impressive shot, mainly because he didn't waste any time. You often, when players hit shots like that, you can see them, you know, taking a moment to line up, take their time, and then thread the needle. But this was literally just maxter coming out of the teleporter and just flicking it down straight in between to connect to DaHanG's face. That was incredibly impressive. And I sure do hope that there were some cacas in chat to follow up on that. A beautiful frag, as maxter is now in pole position to secure a win on this first map.
We're not even playing on the SA server either, so imagine how dangerous maxter will be in the next one. As now there's 2 minutes left remaining. Yet, sure, DaHanG still needs to recover. maxter does have item control, but we've seen things get out of control before on Exile. Rafa's done it before. Oh, that rail from down below, just making the situation worse for DaHanG here.
maxter now doubling his opponent's score. I think that this one is pretty much over by now, Lethal. As much as I want to believe in the comeback potential of the Liquid players, we saw Rafa pull off a miracle against Chain not too long ago. We have seen DaHanG do the same thing, but I don't think it's going to happen today, or at least not on this map. maxter's control is just too strong, and with 60 seconds left to go, how? It looks like he just pins DaHanG down to the floor. That was incredible, and some flick rails while he's at it. Sure, why not? maxter absolutely on fire. I quite confidently said that this was not going to be a 3-0, but if maxter keeps this up, we might just see one, Lethal. We absolutely could.
Oh, 2 for 2. How did this spiral out of control? maxter's just not... Do you know what? Let's have a look at the stats so far. 57% rail for DaHanG, but you can see maxter's had 54% with 36 shots hit. Do you know what? I think it feels a lot worse than it is, because the fashion he's doing it with these drive-by rails, these, you know, peekaboo shots he's making left, right, and centre, it's just been a real pleasure to watch. And maxter's actually turned off the gas a little bit here finally, and to right he should. It's 18-6. It's been a right massacre and an absolute nightmare for DaHanG to deal with here. But I must say, that was incredible to watch as maxter takes the first map 18-6 over DaHanG.
South America is absolutely bringing it today. First we saw Nosfa representing Brazil take down Effortless in a clean 3-0 fashion, and now it is maxter getting a first map win over Liquid DaHanG. And in what fashion he did it in. Now this is looking really strong. Of course, DaHanG is one of the most mentally resilient players in the league. He is absolutely not going to let something like this tilt him. He will be able to keep his head and focus in the game. This is a veteran, an extremely experienced player, but he has to find an answer to the absolute onslaught that maxter has brought so far.
I just can't believe what we watched. It was just, once again, just absolute filth, and you just love to see it. Some of these rails were just... You know what? He's going to be in a few top 10s, I reckon, here, Fleet. There's going to be no doubt about it, just from that one map alone. But let's have a look at the damage counter. So it could be 1195 damage, and definitely looked that way considering the map presence maxter had. 50% rail to the 57% of DaHanG. DaHanG, remember, they didn't fire as many shots, so there was a lot more consistency across the board for maxter. But then again, he is a light champion, so DaHanG's rails were still very, very good to say the least. And looking at it so far, though, maxter just on an absolute tear at the moment and may even continue his path of destruction going on to the next map. We'll see.
Now, the next map, if memory serves me, is going to be Awoken. DaHanG will be rocking the Athena, and it is maxter who will be playing Strog. And looks like we are about to load into the map instantly. These players do not want to waste any time whatsoever. Some of them, when they take a loss, they want to just rethink it, calm down, take a moment. Others, they just want to immediately keep going. They don't want to let their skills, their aim get cold. And I think DaHanG is definitely one of the latter category, at least today he seems to be. As we are ready to jump into map 2, Awoken, once again we're getting to see Athena being played on this map, only this time it is maxter who is trying to counter with Strog, so he's got a lot of mobility of himself and probably won't find himself as outclassed when it comes to mobility as we saw Effortless do earlier when he was playing Ranger.
Yeah, it was a little bit one-sided earlier on after he got a tad tilted, but DaHanG isn't one to get tilted really, resets his mentality very, very well. I know that first map was nowhere near in his favour. Maxter just played absolutely out of his mind, and I mentioned it earlier on as well, but Exile is one of Maxter's better maps, and that was just a clear example as to why. That was just absolute dirt across the board. But the question is though, can Maxter continue bringing it home here, as he's already had a fabulous or dream start, shall we say, and let's see if it can continue that, as funny enough we will be starting from Maxter's POV.
Both players picking up their respective items pretty much off the bat. No delays, no mind games. No one is really hoping to get complete control after this first fight. Just want to play a careful, calculated game so far. Good rockets coming out from maxter though, and DaHanG already having the lower base stack has to give up footing. Good thing he did have a rail. Took around 60 points of damage from the Peeker after all. And now maxter is the one who's going to be looking out for some armor first, because that's what he really needs. And I don't imagine he's just going to rush in for a fight before that happens.
Don't be surprised if this map's going to be just as entertaining as the last. A bit of a slower approach this time round. Misses the first rail, not something we normally see considering what came out of maxter earlier on, as DaHanG has backed all the way onto that rocket jump pad, but it seems like he's going to be dropping down for the heavy anyway. Good first rail there from maxter, but then again it's also quite weak as well. Both trading back and forth in terms of rails, but like you rightly said though, with the Strog he can now recover quicker, he can go for these items in faster fashion. Good rail and good prediction. Is he going to hit the second? Yes he does. 2 for 2 there. First frag for maxter in the opening 90 seconds.
That was a brilliant read by maxter, and he lands another good shot. Should be able to secure heavy now as well. And there still isn't really enough time between these items for either player to get a consistent hands up, but hang on! Maxter, beautiful vertical shot, basically straight up into the air. Takes down DaHanG now twice in a row already. This could amount to something. I still think DaHanG will be able to secure the heavy. Unless he drops down right now. Nah, he will be able to take it out. If he had missed that shot, he would have been in real trouble, because that would have been maxter's cue to not only secure Mega, but take heavy to boot as well.
What's maxter had for breakfast this morning, eh? Oh, another one! Another one. Just plenty more to come. I feel like I'm watching a frag movie at the moment, Flea. It doesn't feel like a match, it just feels like a frag movie right now. Max is just playing absolutely out of his skull, and it's just, again, the entertainment factor is just, by any means, just incredible. As now he's just inflicting a little bit more damage onto DaHanG just to feed himself some information. It's curious to see if DaHanG will jump across, which he will not, but it will find him. Misses that first rail. This will give DaHanG a little bit of leadway here. There's only been 3 minutes on the clock. Good rail there from DaHanG. A great response there from maxter. And now maxter just still keeping a close on there, but it has backed away to pick up the light and also to refill his LG ammunition as well. Good stuff there for Maxter just to realise what he's up against. Backs away. Gentleman's agreement on both of these items. No segregation at all. And we can see how this next bout is going to occur.
Everything is still perfectly balanced in terms of items. Maxter has 2 heavies and 5 megas, and DaHanG has the exact opposite, 5 heavies and 2 megas. And then when it comes to small armors, they're both exactly tied at 6. So this is about as symmetrical as it gets, which is quite surprising 4 minutes in. But really, neither player has gotten a frag at the right time and in the right place to establish consistent control of the back of it. But that might change now. Yeah, good decision from Maxter to go for heavy first. At first he was contemplating mega rather, but goes for heavy in the end. I think he could have probably just rocket jumped and stole it, but he doesn't want to give up the momentum that he has now. He knew that he could have gone for the rocket jump, maybe even taken it, but DaHanG spawned over on the LG side of the map, so if that goes wrong, you're guaranteed to drop a frag. So very calculated play from Maxter, landing a good rail as well, but there we go, DaHanG making it work. Railgun is really a key weapon in this matchup for the American player.
That's a good response there from DaHanG. He's shown a little bit of life here. As it's pretty much been a Maxter show here over the last 5 minutes. Does find him once, find him twice. No, he will not, but good retaliation there from Maxter once again as DaHanG quickly recuperates his stack. Will be found top mid by Maxter. God, he's just keeping him at... Oh, the rails fleet again. It's just not stopping at all. Just... Again, all gas for Maxter. Keeping him at bay again, top mid. Going towards the rail. Realises the heavy is up, but it's going to dish a lot of damage with that Pika from Maxter as he's going to go for a little bit of armor of his own as he picks up that light. But DaHanG realises where he is, taking a little bit of damage from those rockets. Going to get the shotgun out. Will he be able to clean him up? No, he does not. Only gets a 4 with that last shot he hit, as DaHanG sadly for Maxter was only on 17 HP, but Maxter was pretty keen on getting on that trade very softly, but DaHanG knew that it was coming, just using those rockets to control the aggression from Maxter, trying to keep it as competitive as possible.
Thing is that DaHanG got a really nice frag there, but it just wasn't at an opportune time. There were very few resources available. Mega and Heavy were still 10 seconds away, and he was pretty weak afterwards, so he had to immediately switch to a defensive playstyle because he just couldn't make a push or secure any item and get control off of it. And in doing so, he allowed Maxter a lot of room to pick up the items and to get positioning himself, and now it is DaHanG who's kind of on the run. Is he even going to drop down for Heavy? He will. He will, because Maxter went for a rocket. If Maxter had just pushed in with LG, that could have ended up badly. But luckily for DaHanG, he escapes without a lick of damage, and now is in great fighting shape.
Yeah, DaHanG still trying to pile on his pressure. He's still got 3.5 minutes to try and topple Maxter if he can. Oh, that was a nice little jump there, but it's not going to help in any way as DaHanG just eating up all these rails. Good LG for Maxter, but he's not going to be able to get away as Maxter now manages to extend his leads. And you've got to remember, you know, with Athena being a light champion and Maxter still hitting all these shots at the speed he's going at, it's just been incredible indeed. And Maxter, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, the LG there from Maxter. Great tracking once. Actually, do you know what? Great tracking all round. It was filthy fleet. It absolutely was. And it looks like there's no letting go. 42 from that last rocket. Looking to see if he can pick him apart going towards top mid, but DaHanG isn't going for that bait at all as he goes in towards the LG room to try and recover. Not for long though, as Maxter will find him. Hits the rail as well, and oh, that rocket jump, a little bit of a failure, but you know what? We'll let him off for that considering what we've seen in terms of this performance.
DaHanG, his aim has just really been failing him on this map, it feels like. DaHanG is hitting 15% LG right now. Just hasn't been able to do much with one of the most important weapons on a map like Awoken at all. That is why he's prioritizing the railgun and rocket so much. You can tell he's not confident in his LG at all right now, and he's losing every single one of those fights against Maxter, who's out-damaging him pretty significantly. 1.3k damage is what maxter has over his opponents. And if he keeps landing rails like that, then what is DaHanG going to do? He should be able to at least secure the Mega here. Actually gets away completely clean. None of those peaker pellets hit. But what DaHanG needs is damage. He needs frags. He can't just get away with nothing, because that just reinforces the status quo, and that is heavily stacked in maxter's favor as we are entering the final 90 seconds of this map.
How can you do damage war against pretty much a human rail turret at this point? maxter finally getting a taste of his own medicine. A little bit too late. Some good rocket damage there. Trying to clear up the LG. One rail will do it, but DaHanG is the one who comes out in that engagement, as of course maxter was railable as well. Waiting to see if he does go towards the Mega, which he will not. maxter though up 8-3 as DaHanG's only got a minute left to come back from this, but the way DaHanG's been, sorry not DaHanG, the way Max has been playing, it's just, again, it's been a real joy to watch here. maxter does have that top mid control. Waiting to see if DaHanG does appear before our very eyes, which he will do. Will take a little bit of peak damage, but it doesn't matter as DaHanG does pick up that Mega. Max is just wasting time, which rightly so he should be. He does take that first rail from DaHanG, misses the second, but it was only, he had to literally pixel perfect there. 30 seconds left remaining. DaHanG not really got much choice here, hasn't really got many options to try and find these 5 frags. Some good rocket damage here, don't get me wrong, but it looks like maxter will be winning that last engagement here with 20 seconds left.
And that is going to spell GG. DaHanG, his aim just really wasn't there with one of the most important weapons on this map, the LG. Railgun somewhat better, 35%, but still nothing exceptional, and you need to be exceptional if you want to take down maxter when he is playing like this. The Argentinian player, everything was going in his favor. The aim, the positioning, the outcome of so many of these fights, he just absolutely put up a masterclass. And then what happens is that Athena, we talked about this earlier, kind of becomes a bit of a liability, right? If you are dominant, if you are in control, it is such a powerful tool to apply constant pressure and to deny so many items from your opponent. But when you are the one who's out of control, then what keeps on happening is that you have to use that ability just to get away over and over again. You have to use it to escape bad fights rather than dictate the pace of the match. And even then, just look at what we're seeing here. Very often DaHanG's escape attempts with the hooks didn't work and he got killed regardless. So in the second half of the game, we finally saw some more life come out of the Liquid player, started landing some more shots, some big rockets we see right now in the replay, but it was too little too late. And of course maxter is running Strog, which is a champion that also has a lot of mobility to work with, so catching him that many times in a row was a tall order no matter what.
I love that from Max, the finger wag. It was like, no, 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 you are not coming back in this matchup. That was just, oh, dearie me. Who would have predicted this? You can see now in terms of damage, 1,330 more damage for maxter. 55% hit percentage with the rail against an Athena of all champions as well. So he's going to be extremely happy about that. But you can see the look on maxter's face as well on that player cam. He's taking this extremely seriously, a lot more seriously than he usually would. But DaHanG is kind of giggling himself a little bit here and there. It's kind of like, well, what do you want me to do against the human turret at this point? Because it's just been remarkable what Max has been able to do here. Just pretty much an aim start all round, but his movement and positional advantage has just been a real compliment to his aim as well. Just incredible. As we will be going into this final map in the series. Currently 2-0, if you're just joining us, it is the third match of the day between maxter and DaHanG. Max is currently 2-0 up as he won the first map, I believe, 18-6 from the top of my head. And that was just pure destruction once again at 10-3. Who would have called it a? Well, actually, I say who would have predicted that, but the chat, most of chat has actually been predicting that as well.
Chat is definitely favoring maxter, and I think it's only getting more and more skewed after how well he's been playing. The first one was still kind of close. I think it was 1.5 to 1 in terms of predictions, so a decent advantage for maxter. But now, just look at what predictions are coming out. There's it's 3-1 at the least already. We're only just starting with the predictions, so maxter definitely has the popular vote as well. But now this final map, though, there's a few things that are going in DaHanG's favor. One, he finally has a stack advantage. That's the only thing that he hasn't had so far in the previous 2 maps. Two, Ison is a champion that a player like him can really make a lot out of. You can put it down to get information from the other side of the map. There's a lot of very strategic, technical plays that you can do with it, and we know that DaHanG is a player who excels at those. And three, playing a light champion on Ruins is a big risk because of how open and exposed those small armors are. So if maxter gets out of control and has to secure those small pickups on the sides of the map, DaHanG can punish that so easily and keep him down. Now we're starting it off on maxter's point of view, so let's see, can he bring home the 3-0, or will DaHanG get at least one map in this series?
Oh, a good start so far from DaHanG. Still got that stack advantage there, able to get out there. And you can remember maxter does have that inject in his back pocket. And 81% of you at home are saying that maxter could be walking away with this. And the way he's been playing, do you know what, guys? I don't blame you in the slightest. He's been playing out of his mind here throughout this entire series. And it's great to see him at his peak performance. DaHanG, though, is definitely not letting this one go at all in the slightest. Some good rails there from DaHanG. You've got to remember, though, maxter is still available. He realises that, picks up the light from the courtyard just in case. Better safe than sorry, Aifley.
Indeed it is. Still, tied game 0-0. Neither player has given up or secured a frag, but maxter, he smells blood after that first rail, but this might be an overextension. DaHanG, unfortunately for him, misses the kill shot. And maxter won't. Very good read, knew exactly what DaHanG was going for to stack back up, and now that LG, we've seen it be tremendously strong, but this time it won't be strong enough, and DaHanG still gets away with it. But he isn't in the clear just yet, because maxter comes down, barreling upon him once more. And will take away the heavy too. Oh, there we go.
Oh, this... It's not even just the super aggression from maxter, it's his reaction to everything as well. Even when he's at a disadvantageous angle, he just makes it work, and it's, you know, should be illegal for him at this point, the things he's been getting away with and the things he's been doing, but his aim complements it so well that it just doesn't matter. It just really is just remarkable what this man can do. First rail there for maxter is going to, it's being patient with the second. As you can see, DaHanG is just dilly-dallying around on that rocket spawn to see if he can get the next shot onto maxter. But it looks like he won't have time for that, though. But good prediction there from DaHanG in terms of firing those rockets as maxter's going up on the staircase in the back of Heavy. But he's now looking to see if he can take out this turret, which he will do, but DaHanG isn't there to follow it up. He didn't really take much damage from that anyway, but it will find that DaHanG is directly underneath. Both players missed that first rail, but Heavy will be coming up in the next few seconds. The question is maxter going to go for it? No, he will not, but he is going to wait for him to see if he does come up the staircase, which again he won't, as DaHanG is going to go up the jump pad towards the courtyard.
Now we're seeing something that we saw very little of on the previous map, and that is consistent control for one player. DaHanG has picked up Mega and Heavy to work with as well. He's got them at around a 10-second split, so he could get something going here. Now maxter, of course, has got that injection, so he's got a bit of an overstack in terms of health for himself, but DaHanG is definitely the one who's in a better position to make a run for the items, and that LG looked so much better than anything we saw on the previous maps.
No! Oh no! As if he got away with that on 2 HP! You shouldn't be allowed to do this, maxter! And now, will he be able to survive his next engagement? No, misses that second rail, left on 38 HP. And do you know what? At this point, even though DaHanG had twice the stack in that engagement, I still feel like maxter could have done something. What on earth was that?
maxter just absolutely rushed into the room. And DaHanG, yeah, he was on top of the item, but a second too early. Got knocked clean off. And that was all the encouragement that maxter needed to get the frag and the item. Now, he is still pretty tender, but he gets the best in that rocket engagement. The choke point working in his favor, at least somewhat. Good play by DaHanG, dropping down the turret like that, just trying to keep his opponent out of the room, and he secures the heavy. And that's a nice rail to work with too. Yes, the scoreline is in favor of maxter, but DaHanG is absolutely keeping this a competitive game. He is the one who is doing a better job at getting some level of consistent control of the major items, but it's just maxter's ability to turn around these fights and land the shots when it matters the most that is thwarting the Americans so far.
Yeah, DaHanG's still trying to do his absolute best to adapt in this matchup, but you can see maxter, the way he's been getting some of his kills, it's very, very high risk, high reward, but he's been getting away with it down to a T. Still can't believe that last mega engagement. Still a bit gobsmacked from it, but still no. 5 minutes left for these both these players to try and make something happen. DaHanG's got plenty of time to catch up, has the stack to work with as well, but maxter with the mobility and speed, like you rightly mentioned before, Flea, it's not going to give him the leadway he needs, but the LG not looking too bad as he was dropping down, but great rockets here from maxter, but DaHanG's LG just a little bit better dropping on in, as he did have the stack to work with. So I was wondering if maxter was going to come up from the staircase. He decided to go back down instead. He wasn't really too sure in terms of the stack from DaHanG, but this is much better from DaHanG, just a little bit more controlled, not as chaotic as it once was, and now just needs to keep tabs on where maxter is going to be. This is much better from DaHanG, cleans him up beautifully there, and still has a huge stack, meaning that maxter didn't really do that much damage to DaHanG there. So now maxter's going to be a little bit worried about how to make these next engagements work.
DaHanG's shots are just finally connecting more. Oh no, either one of those would have killed, and that would have given him a free mega to work with, but he just couldn't land the final few rails. But what he is able to land is LG, and I think that has been a weapon that has kept him in this match a fair bit. Previous game it was all about maxter's tracking, but now DaHanG is absolutely putting up a wonderful fight, doing a lot of damage in situations where you absolutely wouldn't expect it, when he was clearly outpositioned with the LG and still making it work. I like that decision from DaHanG to throw down the turret first, just hoping to bait out the shot or force his opponent to go for the turret before him so that he could sneak into the room unchallenged. Unfortunately for him, maxter did land that shot, but Mega is going to top him up quite nicely.
Sprinkle of damage onto DaHanG there from that last rocket before maxter made his exit stage left. Still don't realise that DaHanG is in the courtyard, so if he gets the advantage in terms of stack, he could actually trap him in the courtyard if he wants. But maxter decides to prioritise the mega, which is perfectly understandable. And we know that some players normally prioritise to kill, but I suppose he's not really too sure or 100% on the stack DaHanG could have here, but it's taken a fair amount of damage once again. 2.5 minutes left on the clock. 2 frags required now for DaHanG to try and come back from this, but that rail is not going to carve anything here for DaHanG, as maxter looking to continue to pile on the pressure with the height advantage as well. Good rail again, and he's going to be picking up the mega momentarily, but just delaying it just a tad here as both items are heavily segregated. This could be a moment for maxter to try and take DaHanG down here. As he gets the LG, has already done a huge amount of damage. Does he finish him off? Yes, he does, as now maxter left on 15 HP, trying to recuperate to the best of his ability.
Things are now starting to become very tricky for DaHanG, because not only is he down a few frags, he is trying to chase one of the fastest and most mobile champions in the entire game, while he has nothing in terms of mobility to work with. Oh my god, he somehow got that. Absolutely had no business securing the frag right there. Showed up. Kind of outstacked. Mega still picked up by maxter, but then that final rail helps the American. He won't be able to secure heavy, but he wants to do some extra damage, because he knows that maxter is still really weak. But that injection, oh, DaHanG. If he had pushed and landed the rail just a second sooner, that might have been a kill, but then the injection came out and prevented that from happening. And now DaHanG, he's forced to chase down a champion that is infinitely faster than he is, that also managed to take away the mega right underneath his nose. And now in 1 minute, he's got to get 2 frags. If he drops this one, it's GG. He can't lose a single life in this crucial stage of the map.
Yeah, it's going to be cat and mouse if DaHanG does get the opportunity to restack. But the way Max has been playing in terms of rail accuracy, it's just been ridiculous. It's only 41% at the moment, but do you know what? The damage has already been done. He's been very cost effective in terms of how he wants to try and get some of these high risk, high reward plays that we saw earlier on. But DaHanG can now do it. He has the stack to work with here. But the problem is, once again, the mobility and the speed of the Anarchy. And the fact that you saw there, Max just sitting there with the LG to try and keep him at bay. But the trade does come out. Sadly, that wasn't a clean fight for DaHanG. Not something he was going for, you could say there. So it's a little bit of a shame for DaHanG, but even then, you can imagine maxter probably just going straight for the trade straight afterwards anyway. So GG's from both players. Maxter will be coming out on top in this series and that map, and all three maps actually, taking that 3-0. Who would have thought it, eh?
Indeed, quite the unexpected result. Like I said, the heart, at least on my end, favored Maxter. I felt like he could do it, but I was expecting a 2-1 at most, not a 3-0 at all. DaHanG not really able to bring in the best results. Now, he's still not looking too badly on the leaderboards, right? He's still got 4 wins. He's taken out Saigip, Effortless Sip, and Chain in his last appearance before this one. But now he's also lost 3-0 to Zeneku, and today to Maxter as well. And that means 2 matches where he got almost no points to work with. Now, I don't think that DaHanG is in any sort of real danger for relegation, but I do hope that he can improve his form as we're getting closer to the stage finals.
Yeah, I want to say this match was an upset. Like, I wouldn't have said if it was an upset if Maxter won 2-1, just due to the fact that he's definitely got the caliber skill which he requires in order to be able to take out some of these top dogs in the Quake Pro League. But a 3-0, I would say, is, considering the frag deficit as well in terms of scorelines here. Let's have a quick look in terms of the damage count as well. 660 more damage in favor of Maxter. And even then, though, DaHanG did have 20 items to the 17 of Maxter. Maxter was just a lot more effective with his stack. And I still can't get over that one engagement over Mega. He should not have won that. He should not have won that at all. And still did. And it was just incredible, Flea. And you know what? I didn't expect anything less from him.
Indeed, Maxter looking supremely powerful as we are approaching the final few weeks of this stage. And you know, we were talking about it earlier, Maxter had a very solid showing on the previous stage finals, taking out some top competitors. He's done that in the past as well. So I think that given how much better he's already looking now in comparison to last stage, I mean, just to remind everyone, previous stage, DaHanG beat him 3-0, and he did a complete reversal this time around. So if he can keep up this momentum and get in top shape as the finals come along, Maxter is absolutely looking like a top competitor over on the Americas side.
Yeah, you can't really tell how each player's going to perform in the finals, just due to the fact that, like I said before, when you've got that 2-week gap in between the last week and QuakeCon, or, you know, wherever the stage finals is, they put so much more time and effort to be able to practice and get ready for the stage finals. They put in twice, sometimes triple the hours going into it, and we clearly see it. Like, players like Dramus is just a great example of that. When you see him play in the Pro League in each week, and when you go to the finals, completely different person in terms of, you know, causing a lot of these upset in the finals. And we see it from numerous players as we look forward to see it, because still got a while yet to go as we are in week 9. But yeah, the QuakeCon isn't too far away indeed. But now, though, we've already had a few matches come to fruition there. We've already had 3 great games coming in, and we've still got 4 more matches left to go. So guys, don't go anywhere, as we're back in just a few moments.